Hello everyone! In today's video, while I'm still grinding for the Ghost Shotgun and the Ghost Minigun, I decided to showcase the second part of the added explosive types with the Wastelanders DLC. And these are the floater grenades, the cryo, the flamer, and the acid, I think that they are called. I already bought a plant for them, but before we get into crafting them and where you can get them, there's gonna be one important material that you need for actually crafting the grenades, which is of course the floater body parts, sort of. Well, every time that you see super mutants, there is a good chance that they're gonna be around them, but Solomon Spawn for me has been one of the most reliable spawn locations for these guys, because there is always one of each type here, so you can be sure to get at least one of each, but sometimes even more. There is a flamer one. When you kill them, be sure to not stand around because they actually explode and that deals damage to you, and it's kind of annoying. And don't be scared to actually scrap all your junk with if you have like I need to get away. Oh, he almost got me. So, the floater pus sacks do not auto-scrap with the other scrappable items, so you can just drop all your junk into your stash box together with these, and the game won't scrap it for you unless you actually do it manually. So yeah, just collect everything from these blocks, and thankfully that's a low-level one. And they will serve you with some crafting materials. And yes, this does make them already much less desirable given how hard it is to get your hands on just the requirements to actually get these grenades to craft, as well as of course the gold cost, which is 150 each. Which is not nothing, you know, you could get the dynamite for 100, so, you know, I'm pretty sure that this is not gonna be better than dynamite, but hopefully I will be pleasantly surprised. Since many of you have asked in the last video, please listen here carefully. You need a rank of friendly with the raiders to actually unlock these grenades at Mortimer here, who's gonna sell it to you for 150 golds for each. I bought all three of them, so I'm gonna showcase each and I'm gonna compare it to relatively comparable grenades, let's say that. So after equipping Super Duper and Demolition Expert as well as Science, because you actually need rank 1 of Science to craft these grenades, now we can go down to the Tinkerer's Workbench, where under the Grenades tab you can find Floater, Freezer, and Gnasher Grenade. If you're wondering where you can get the Cryo Cell, it's basically the ammunition for the Cryolator. So just go on to Energy Ammo and craft some of it yourself. There you go, one bundle is gonna be enough. So again, go back to Grenades. And now I'm gonna craft some Cryo Grenades for comparison's sake as well. Okay, then some flamer grenades. This I use is fuel, by the way, so it's the same deal as with the cryo cells. Just use some of that. Same way in the energy ammunition tab. And finally the Gnasher grenade, which is the acid one. So just for comparison's sake, here is what the stats of the grenades actually state. The cryo grenade deals 150 only ballistic damage if you don't count the cryo effect, which is of course doesn't actually do any additional damage, with a 94 of range, while the freezer grenade does the same amount of damage, seemingly, but also with the same amount of range, and still doesn't state anything about the freezing effect. Then we have the Molotov cocktail, which deals 75 damage and then 8 damage of fire over a certain period of time, and compare that to the flamer grenade, which deals more damage, and actually energy damage is what it states for instead of the burning damage. But it also states that the target burns for 4 seconds, which is not stated for the Molotov cocktail. Now, finally, the Gnasher grenade, which is the acid one, as you can see here, it's 160, but 40 of that is the acid damage over time. And actually it's poison, not acid, sorry. The difference between acid and poison is that robots cannot be poisoned, but they can be affected by acid damage. So this grenade won't affect robots at all, if what it says is true, whether it's poison damage and not acid. And yeah, this is twice the amount of time, but at the same time it's less initial damage, as you can see here. So this is what the stats tell you. Now, one thing I need to know, because so far I am not really impressed with the performance of these grenades, even though it, you know, the Molotov cocktail deals half as much damage as, say, for example, the flamer grenade, technically. It still doesn't warrant me going out of my way, spending 150 golds and finding enough flamer pus sacks to actually craft this thing. especially that all the rest of the requirements are more as well. This is 1 adhesive, 1 cloth, 2 glass, and 2 oil, sorry. While the flamer one is 2 adhesive, 2 aluminium, 2 fuel, 1 oil, and 2 springs. Springs are really important here. Springs are not something you wanna spend on grenades if you can. But one more test that I wanna do before calling all of these grenades useless is whether the cryo effect actually affects the Scorch Beast and how long it affects them, as well as how effectively it actually works against them overall. That is what's gonna be the deciding factor upon my judgment over the freezing grenade. Okay, so the cryo grenade didn't actually affect him in terms of like getting frozen. He did deal damage to him, but that's not what we are here for. Also, go away. And here he comes. Grenade number 1. That's gonna be bad. Scorch Beasts are actually smart enough to walk away from your grenades, which is kind of annoying. Okay, maybe now. And it exploded right beneath her, but it didn't do anything whatsoever. Okay, so basically my verdict on these grenades is that, in short, they are not worth the asking price and the material costs required to actually, you know, produce them. The flamer grenade is not too bad in terms of damage output, especially in comparison to the Molotov cocktail, but you have to remember that the Molotov cocktail actually explodes on contact, so that's one of the big benefits for it having or being a grenade, while the flamer grenade actually has a detonation time, which is kind of frustrating because your enemies can move out of its detonation range in that time. The cryo grenade isn't good at all because it doesn't freeze any big targets, only small ones. But for that you might as well use the cryo grenade because it actually deals damage on explosion as well, unlike the cryo grenade, which kind of just doesn't really do any damage. And the poison grenade, this is called the Gnesser or whatever its name was, that's also not really worth it. Plasma grenades are much better, even though it's hard to get the plans for them nowadays, because it was only available during an event, and apart from that it has like a really low drop chance. But even then, you are not really missing out on anything, because even added together with the acid damage or the poison damage, the Gnesser grenades aren't that good at all in terms of overall damage output. So yeah, just basically miss out on these. If you want to buy a certain explosive, I would recommend the dynamite. It doesn't cost 150 gold, only 100, and it also does better damage in comparison. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye.